ANC Chief Whip Jackson Mthembu is calling for members of the party's National Executive Committee to resign. Today's City Press is reporting that Mthembu says the ANC with the current leadership is worse than its apartheid predecessors. He joins me now on the line. Mr. Mthembu, good morning and thank you for joining me. Why are you calling for the ANC leadership to step down?
Thank you very much, Tulas, and thank you to your listeners. So you will know, Tulas, that after the 3rd of August local government elections, the ANC had a 4-day meeting. It's in that meeting that I made this call, that if we are taking collective responsibility for the mess we have created, for the lack of confidence in the African National Congress that came to the fore through these elections, therefore, as the ANC leadership, we must also take a collective fall from grace. Because it's only when we do that that our people can continue to have confidence in the ANC, not in us. Because it's in us that they've lost confidence because of our factional behavior, because of our arrogance, and now, under our watch, a sitting minister is furiously charged with fraud on a matter that is administrative. In my view, a minister is being pursued for political reasons and then charged with fraud. That's why I've then said, perhaps we are not the leadership that can take the ANC forward under these conditions.
You are quoted as saying that we are not only equaling the apartheid state, we are worse than them because they never treated their ministers like this. Are you really going to compare the ANC now and the apartheid regime?
That regime, as bad as it was, you will remember that some of us, when we decided to get engaged in the struggle for our people's liberation, was because that regime was using state instruments to suppress us, to discriminate us, but more importantly, to even kill us and send us into forced exile and send us into prisons. Therefore, when we act in the same manner, how different are we? But what is even more telling here to us, you remember that the apartheid regime never pursued its own ministers the way we are pursuing Pravin. It never, from that angle, indeed, we are worse than the apartheid regime because it never pursued its own. In fact, this is not what you would expect in a democratic state, particularly from a movement that fought for the liberation of our people. And we are saying the movement must come back to its values and the principles that it has held dear.
Why is the matter involving Pravin Gordhan the final straw? Why was the issue of the handling of Nkandla and the defense of the indefensible in Parliament using those parliamentary channels, why was that not the final straw for you? Why was 9/12 not the final straw for you?
What was the final straw for me was the 3rd of August this year, when our people said, ANC, change your ways for the better. And I can assure you that even that National Executive Committee of the ANC, in its meeting, as it confirmed that it is taking collective responsibility, it agreed that there are many issues that we did not handle right, including cancer, by the way, that ANC. But that was the final straw to me, but I thought that our people having spoken, we would all have listened and act moving forward in a manner that will make us regain the confidence of our people. By charging Pravin, we are in fact showing a middle finger to our people because we are saying we have not heard you. We will continue in the same manner we have been doing things before the 3rd of August. And in our view, this will destroy our movement. In our view, come 2019, if we continue in this trajectory, the movement will then be put out of office, out of government, will not be able to continue with the historic mission that our people has indeed entrusted upon us. That's why I am where I am now.
How high up should this taking of responsibility and also falling on your swords, how high up should it go? Should it include President Jacob Zuma? Should he step down?
President Jacob Zuma is the president of the ANC. When I said the entire ANC leadership that has already taken collective responsibility must take the fall, I meant everybody, myself included President Zuma, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, Gwede Mantashe, the Secretary General. But this is something I said in the NSA, by the way. Of course, I did not win, my argument did not win on the day. But again, maybe that argument should then be rediscussed in view of what has happened to Comrade Pravin. If we continue in this manner, will we be able to salvage the movement? Will we be able to redeem ourselves? But more importantly, will we be able to be seen by our people come 2019 to be the vehicle for their total liberation? I don't think so, if we continue in this manner. So we therefore need to revisit. Is the revolution safe in our hands as the national leadership of the African National Congress?
Part of what you're lamenting, Mr. Mthembu, is the growing behavior of factionalism and people really defining themselves along lines of factions. Now, someone will say that your call and your comments and your support for Pravin Gordhan, well, it seems to suggest the emergence of an alignment of sorts. Let's not call it a slate or a faction. Let's call it an alignment of sorts ahead of 2017. We've had we've had Cyril Ramaphosa, we've had Enoch Godongwana, Zweli Mkhize, and Joe Pahla coming forward and speaking in this manner. And on the other side, you've had the ANC Women's League, the Umkhonto weSizwe military veterans, and you've had the ANC Youth League. It sort of points to more of this factional behavior, yourselves being, a kind of alignment.
Well, if this is how people think about issues of principle, very unfortunate. Because I'm saying here to people of South Africa, state instruments must not be used to pursue comrades or anybody for that matter in our country. That's the democracy we fought for, by the way, to us. And that's the injunction that is carried in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, that all of us are equal before the law, but more importantly, that the law will not be used to pursue and settle political scores. Now, I can tell you, if I am in a faction for saying this, Mandela will be in my faction, Sisulu will be in my faction, and Ubabu O.R. Tambo, whose celebration we are whose 99 years we are celebrating this October, will also be in my faction in fighting this tendency of using state instruments to pursue anybody, including. By the way, when we stood up to support Deputy President Zuma at the time, when he was also pursued in this manner, nobody said we were wrong, or there were some people who said we were wrong, but we still continued nonetheless. There will be some people who will say we are wrong in this instance. But I can assure you that members of the ANC and leaders of the ANC who are genuine to the cause of the African National Congress will see truth in what we're saying, but we'll also see some of us as being party to saving of this glorious movement. Sure. Before it falls flat on its knees.
Two quick questions then, Mr. Mthembu. Motion of no confidence. The DA is preparing to bring another motion of no confidence. To what extent do you believe the failures of leadership in the ANC have translated to failures of leadership in government, particularly the executive? And directly, what is your thinking about this motion of no confidence? Surely you must support it if the ANC leadership has failed and has failed in terms of its executive leadership.
The leadership of the ANC will pronounce itself. By the way, you will know, Tulas, that I belong to the ANC. As I speak so strongly on the wrongs that need to be corrected in the ANC, I'm not speaking having off-ramped from my glorious organization that still has the capacity to totally liberate our people from socio-economic bondage. It has the capacity. Now, if the DA wants to bring any motion, that's another organization. I'm not in that organization. My organization will say, how do we respond to the vote of no confidence by the Democratic Alliance at an appropriate time?
And then finally, Mr. Mthembu, the ANC Youth League is taking aim at you, particularly Colin Maine. Basically, he's reportedly calling for you to be expelled. The report says that call he made at the National Working Committee meeting earlier this week, but has also said in public, Colin Maine, that you have pretty much anointed yourself an alternative structure, an alternative leader of the ANC from Parliament. What do you say to Colin Maine?
Maine has a loud voice that means nothing. I was not appointed by Colin Maine. I was appointed by the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress to be a chief whip. But let me just put another matter on the table. When some of us fought the apartheid beast, we did not fight that beast to acquire certain positions. We fought that beast for the total liberation of our people. And we fought within the ambit of our glorious movement, the ANC, which I still believe in, which I still trust. But this movement must change its ways and listen to our people so that we don't go further to this 44% that we attained in 2016, come 2019. That's where we are. Immaterial what Maine says. I am not an alternative to the National Executive Committee of the ANC. I've said these things that I'm saying, by the way, in the presence of the national leadership of the ANC, the National Working Committee, that Colin Maine decided to walk out of for whatever reason. I stayed there, despite everything that they said about me. I took my turn and said all these things that I've said that should not allow us, the ANC, state instruments to be used against anyone, including Pravin Gordhan. I said to the National Working Committee, for that reason, I will be supporting Pravin Gordhan on the 2nd of November. I don't need anybody's permission. That's the lessons that our movement has taught me. I don't report to Maine, and I will never start reporting to him anytime. If indeed the NSC feels that what I'm doing is wrong, it's up to the NSC. But we will still discuss these matters in the NSC that is coming.
How widespread is your concern, Mr. Mthembu, within the NSC of the ANC? How many people share the views that you've just shared with us?
The mere fact that we are coming to the open, that many ministers have come to the open on this matter, simply means that there are many members of the NSC that share this. By the way, Tulas, the matter of Pravin did come in some NSC of the past, where the leadership and the top table was asked, please attend to this matter before it embarrasses all of us. They were asked long before the charges. There are many members of the NSC who said to the leadership, by the way, if Pravin is charged, we have no problem, he can be charged, but let's not create an impression that he is charged because there is a political matter that is being pursued, which is his removal. This was raised many a times in NEC meetings. So what I'm therefore raising now is not something new in the eyes of the National Executive Committee. There are many members of the NEC who shares in this perspective that state instruments must not be used to settle political scores.
What's the biggest mistake that the ANC has made that has made it possible for this kind of shenanigans to go on without being arrested in the way, I mean, if you're saying many NEC members have raised these issues, surely there must be something that blocks the ANC, NEC's ability to arrest this. one thinks of previous NECs when it would have been possible to say, this direction we do not like and we're putting a stop to it and we draw a line in the sand, and it actually meant something. But in this particular case, it doesn't seem that it holds much sway, the NEC that is.
You know, as I know, Tulas, that when the NEC came out of its 4-day meeting after the local government elections fiasco, these are matters that were deliberated for 4 days in the National Executive Committee. And all the reasons that were put forward, very correctly, also drawing from our own research work as the African National Congress, why we had lost the confidence of our people, including these matters of lane politics, including these matters of sectional behavior from ourselves and all structures of the African National Congress. That's why I would not like to go into a discussion of 4 days in a meeting with you, an interview that is taking 5 minutes. It's impossible. But one would have thought, Tulas, that having had that discussion at NEC, all of us were of the same view, that we cannot repeat the same mistakes. We cannot use state instruments for whatever reason, unfortunately. After all these discussions, this is where we find ourselves, Pravin Gordhan, charged with fraud for something that is totally administrative. By the way, we have said to the leadership, there are many NSCs and ministers who have brought into the public service people who have gone on pension because we need those skills. There are many teachers who have come back from pension because we need the skills of math and science. There are many nurses who have come back from pension. But all the people who brought these teachers and nurses back have not been charged for fraud. Why would you do this in the case of Pravin Gordhan?
So let me ask you the question slightly differently than Mr. Mthembu. Is there a power block within the ANC NEC? As informal as it may be, is there a power block whose views always prevail by, the nature of how politics has played itself out in the NEC, in the provinces and in the regions?
Tulas, I think if you meet the spokesperson of the ANC one day, this is Koto, you can ask him that question. We are dealing with a matter now that arises because of what I've said in support of Pravin.
Right.
I think I've answered that question adequately.
Appreciate that. That is the ANC Chief Whip, Jackson Mthembu, joining us on the line. We appreciate that here on eNCA.